There's a quiet, bewildering feeling that visits you in the empty moments. You're driving somewhere or waiting for the kettle to boil, and their face appears in your mind. Not someone who loved you well, not someone who made you feel safe, but the one who made you feel small. The one whose criticism became the soundtrack in your head. The one whose approval you chased, even as it eroded you. And the bewildering part isn't that they come to mind, it's the pang that follows. A hollow, aching pull, a missing. And immediately, a second wave of feeling crashes in. Shame. Why on earth would you miss that? Why does your mind, like a homing pigeon, keep flying back to a cage? It doesn't make sense to the heart that wants to be free. So you question your own strength. You wonder if something in you is wired for neglect. If you are, in some hidden way, choosing the very thing that hurts you. This confusion, this quiet shame, is where we begin. Because the experience is so much more specific than just remembering. It's in the way you rehearse conversations with them years later, still seeking the perfect words to finally make them see you. It's in the strange comfort of their old critical voice echoing in your decisions, a familiar blueprint for how to be. It's in the way new, healthy love can feel unsettling, like a room that's too bright, because the dim light of conditional attention feels more like home. This isn't about drama. This isn't about passion. This is about a psychological gravity, a pull towards a center that once defined your orbit. Your identity, in some crucial formative way, was sculpted in their presence. Your sense of what you deserved was negotiated under their gaze. So when they are gone, even if you left, there is a silent architecture left standing, and you, somehow, are still living inside it, walking its hallways, listening for footsteps in empty rooms. This is the deepest layer of the puzzle. You don't just miss the person, you miss the version of yourself that existed in that gravitational field. The self that was constantly braced, constantly proving, constantly negotiating for scraps of safety. That self had a clear, if painful, mission. And without that mission, who are you? What if this isn't a flaw in your heart, but a feature of your brain? What if this pull isn't a sign of weakness, but evidence of a sophisticated, though now misfiring, survival system? You are not broken for feeling this. You are adapted. The human nervous system is not designed for perfect happiness. It is designed for predictability. Our prime directive is not joy, but pattern recognition and safety management. From infancy, our brains are frantic cartographers, drawing maps of our social world. We learn what gets a smile, what gets it withdrawal, what brings comfort, what brings threat. The people who hold power in our early world, whether parents, early loves, or mentors, become the chief architects of these maps. Their behavior, especially if it was inconsistent, a mix of warmth and criticism, reward and neglect, doesn't just create a map, it creates an addiction. Neurologically speaking, intermittent reinforcement is the most powerful conditioner of behavior we know. When reward is unpredictable, the dopamine system doesn't quiet down after a disappointment. It goes into overdrive. You don't stop seeking. You seek more intensely, scanning for clues, hyper-focused on the source of the possible reward. The brain learns that this unpredictable person is of supreme importance. They become the unsolvable puzzle that your cognitive resources are perpetually mobilized to solve. So you are not missing pain. You're missing the high-stakes, all-consuming puzzle of them. Your brain was literally wired to prioritize them. To think of them is not nostalgia. It is a neural habit etched deep by the chemistry of hope and fear. Think of it like a river carving a canyon. The consistent flow of water, or in this case, the consistent pattern of seeking their approval, bracing for their criticism, cuts a deep default pathway in your mind. Long after the river has dried up, the geography remains. Your thoughts, like water, will find the easiest path downward, into that old, deep canyon of connection to them. This is the mental model. The psychic canyon. It's a groove in your cognition. And freedom isn't about magically filling in the canyon. It's about noticing when you've fallen into it and slowly, patiently beginning to carve a new riverbed elsewhere. This requires more than willpower. It requires a deliberate re-engineering of your attention, which is the shovel that does the carving. Willpower fights the current. Redirection builds new land. The first step is to rename the feeling. When you feel that pang, that hollow pull, don't call it missing, call it withdrawal. This is not semantics, it is a psychological pivot from romance to mechanism. You are not pining for a lost love, you are experiencing the nervous system's protest as it detoxes from an unpredictable source of dopamine and cortisol. The ache is familiar. The craving is familiar. Your brain is presenting you with a well-worn script. If only you could solve the puzzle of them, you would feel relief. Naming it withdrawal changes the entire conversation. It moves the experience from the realm of the heart, where it feels like a moral failure, to the realm of the body and brain, where it is a physiological process. You wouldn't judge yourself for having a headache when you quit caffeine. See this the same way. In practice, it sounds like this. You're washing dishes, and their memory surfaces with that old ache. Instead of following the thought down the canyon, I wonder what they're doing, maybe they've changed. You pause. You say to yourself, quietly, this is withdrawal. You acknowledge the biochemical echo, and in that acknowledgement, you introduce a critical half-second of separation between the feeling and the story you tell about it. The second step is to identify the hook. Intermittent reinforcement works because it attaches itself to a core human need, often the need to be seen, to be good enough, to be safe. Your person didn't invent this need. They simply became the gatekeeper of it in your mind. The work here is to separate the genuine need from the dysfunctional person you've attached it to. Ask yourself, what was the crumb they sometimes offered? Was it a moment of approval that made you feel temporarily intelligent? Was it a flicker of warmth that felt like safety? That crumb is the hook. It's the tiny, glittering prize that kept you in the game. Now, you must perform a conscious act of reassociation. You must find a way to give that legitimate need to yourself or receive it from a reliable source, decoupling it from their face. For example, if the crumb was feeling competent, the old pattern is to ruminate on a time they finally praised your work. The new practice is to immediately, in that moment, do something small and completable that makes you feel competent. Organize a drawer, fix a leaky tap, finish a page of writing. You are showing your brain, through action, that the reward of feeling capable is available here and now. It is not locked in a vault held by someone else. You are dismantling the hook by satisfying the need it exploited through a new, consistent channel. The third step is to practice memory recontextualization. Our memories are not fixed recordings, they are reconstructions, and each time we recall them, we have a chance to subtly edit the narrative before storing them again. Right now, your memories of this person are likely raw, emotional, and bathed in the very feelings of longing or anxiety they originally provoked. The goal is not to forget, it is to file these memories away with a new, calmer understanding. Here is how you do it, based on how memory reconsolidation works. When the memory arises, instead of getting swept into the old emotion, you consciously bring to mind the psychological facts you now know. You observe the memory and you say to yourself, this was my brain's survival mapping. This was my dopamine system trying to solve an unsolvable puzzle. This was me adapting to an inconsistent environment. You are literally overlaying a new analytical narrative onto the old emotional memory. You are tagging the file with a different code. Do this enough times, and the memory begins to lose its emotional charge. It becomes a piece of data about your personal history, not a live wire in your present nervous system. So you remember the weekend at the cabin. Instead of falling into the old ache of how it felt when they were kind, you notice the pattern. Yes, the Saturday was warm, which made the criticism on Sunday feel even colder. That was the cycle. That was the intermittent reinforcement. You are the archaeologist, calmly examining the artifact of your past, not the time traveler reliving it. The fourth step is to feed the new riverbed. Your attention is energy.
Where you place it consistently will begin to carve a new default. This means deliberately directing your focus to connections and activities that are characterized by consistency, not intensity. The pull of the old canyon is intense and dramatic. The new riverbed will feel gentle, even boring at first. Its power is in its predictability. Seek out the friend who always returns your text, not with fireworks, but with reliability. Engage in the hobby where progress is slow and steady, where the reward is the act itself, not a trophy. In relationships, consciously notice and appreciate the quiet, non-dramatic signs of safety. The person who says they'll call at 7 and calls at 7. The one whose mood is generally stable and approachable. Every time you place your attention here, you are depositing a grain of sand in a new landscape. You are teaching your brain a new equation, that safety and regard can be quiet and available and not earned through a puzzle.
You are building an appetite for a different kind of nourishment.
So the simple model to hold is this.
You are a landscape shaped by ancient weather. The old canyon is there. It may always be part of your geography, but you are no longer the river that blindly flows into it. You are the conscious rain learning where else to fall. You can choose to nourish the vast, open plains of your own present life. The pull you feel is not a command from your soul. It is a ghost signal from an old antenna still tuned to a frequency that no longer broadcasts. The static you hear is not a message. It is the sound of a habit, fading. In the end, this quiet ache was never about the person you missed. It was always a monument to your own capacity for hope. It was your brain's fierce, stubborn refusal to give up on a source of connection, even a faulty one. That capacity is not your weakness. It is your fundamental strength, simply pointed in the wrong direction for too long. The love you were trying to get from them was always yours to give, to a life that doesn't make you feel small. When the memory comes now, you can thank it. Thank it for showing you where the old canyon lies. And then, gently, you turn your face towards the sun, feeling its consistent, unearned warmth on your skin. And you realize the deepest quiet is not the absence of their voice. It is the presence of your own, no longer whispering for permission from a ghost.